This is the February 1st, 2022 koha-US circulation meeting, and happy Black History Month. And this brings the meeting to order, or begins it. There we go.
Okay, so something that we ran into circulation related recently is this issue with the renewable, not renewable status is superseding the on hold status, which is a bug that I can put in the chat. And I can show you the problem that it's causing us. So so this is a dummy account. You can see that it says not renewable here because the library is out of renews. If I try to override that renewal, so I've overridden, checked, and now I'm gonna hit the button. You can see that it like quickly shows up a message, and now it's not even showing it, that it says not renewable due to hold. So if I look at the actual record, I can see that there's a hold on it and it doesn't renew. So there's hardly any messaging there for the staff to see that it didn't actually renew. They have to be paying attention to the fact that the date due didn't update. It's even more confusing if I switch to a library that does have renewals available, then the on hold message shows, and that's how we want it to look. We want it to always say on hold if that's going to prevent a renewal. And that's kind of what the bug is dealing with. So if that's something that you didn't know about, or something that's plaguing you and you haven't copied yourself or commented on that bug, I would definitely encourage it. That's my circulation bug for the month. Does anybody else have stuff to talk about?
I'm gonna add that bug to our agenda notes. And I had a bug myself, and I'm gonna see if I can track it down, but hopefully my network doesn't die while I'm trying. So the bug that I was seeing, it was when you put an item level hold, it will, the pickup location has to be set specifically next to the item that you're placing the hold on. It can't be used at the top of the hold list. Let me see if I can get it on my test server.
Well, while Daniel's getting his information, don't forget to join koha-US this year. I put a link in the chat. It's only $25 for the year, and you get so much out of koha-US. So you should join.
Excellent plug. I totally agree.
I think there is a vote forthcoming on location/format for this year's koha-US conference. So being a member allows you to have a voice in that vote. So that's a good reason to get signed up before that vote opens.
Yes, I think we have a board meeting tomorrow and we'll be discussing more about that. And I think we'll notify members of an upcoming vote for the format and location of our koha-US conference. I think that may go out tomorrow, and I think voting maybe starts on the 9th.
Which means I should renew my membership before then because I'm bad and haven't done that yet.
Shame on you.
It's been on my to-do list for a while. I'm a procrastinator. I'm looking at my bugs. I'll toss this one in there as well in case anyone's interested. So in the most recent version, they added the ability to mark a hold as not priority, so that that message that I was showing just a second ago, that on hold message, won't block renewals on non-priority holds. But to toggle off that non-priority status, you basically just have to delete the hold and put a new one on. So this bug proposes that we make a way to make that toggle on and off, so you don't have to actually replace the hold and juggle the holds around to get that to work. So
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was looking at some of the priority holds that I put on. I'm like, yeah, that would be really useful if I could set those to just regular holds. But yeah, that's brilliant. So I can't seem to be able to replicate the bug on my test server. So it's probably something to do with the production, but just in case someone sees it on their production, I posted the bug that I submitted in the chat. Anytime now. So there was actually, I was wondering if anybody uses the ILL in Koha much. What we were thinking about doing was using it as not necessarily a way to request books from other libraries, but just to manage our ILL submission requests. We have a form, and people just regularly fill out the form, and the ILL librarian has to go through the form and submit it into Koha. But this would be actually a way of just having it in Koha already, where the user just submits the ILL request through that module. Has anybody used that with any success?
I haven't even looked at it. Like I've heard about the ILL module, and I know that it's got more use in like Europe. And we've talked about maybe trying to, I know that there's different backends, so like you can hook it up to different things on the back end basically. And we've talked about here in Kansas hooking our Kohas together with the ILL module. So because we've got the 4 consortia currently using Koha. But I haven't had a chance to actually look or test that at all. I know that in the acquisitions group, someone had shared that the idea of maybe taking the purchase suggestions module in that direction. So like the patron would submit, I forget how it would work exactly, but basically instead of submitting a purchase suggestion, they were submitting a request. And then from there, the staff could decide, I'm going to ILL that, or I'm going to purchase that. And I don't recall, it was one of the libraries in Texas that was working on possibly revamping that. But yeah, it would be nice if Koha had a way to keep track of that better.
I'm thinking that might have been McKinney. Possibly. I sort of remember that conversation from acquisitions, but no details.
Yeah, I think it was Marcy that was talking about it, maybe at McKinney. So I don't know if they've made any progress on that, or if they've dropped the idea, but it was sort of an interesting one because from a patron perspective, they don't really care where the book is coming from. So if it's just a request and then you have to fill it or you have to buy it, that can all happen on the back end, which was an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what our staff are doing now, and they're submitting like purchase requests for material that we would normally ILL, and then they add a note in there saying, can you ILL this? And it's not quite what our purchase suggestion is intended for, but it's kind of a clever workaround. I got to give them that. But we were thinking of, yeah, exactly that same thing of just having the kind of the request be not necessarily sent to another library, but just tracked like a purchase suggestion. So maybe I'll if you know who was talking about that, maybe I can get their contact information and see what they've worked on anything.
Yeah, I think it was Marcy Chen at McKinney. I don't know that I have her contact information. If you've got Ed's though, he can put you in touch.
You know, I did some EDI stuff with Marcy, so I think I've got her information. So cool, thanks.
I just turned on the ILL module on my test server and it gives me a 500 error. So obviously there's a little more setup than just toggling it on, I guess.
Yeah, there's this backend that you have to set up, and I think also there's a tool where you actually have to have someone connected to it so that it can send the request over there, or you'll get that error. And that's what mine's doing right now, but I don't even want it to send it. I just wanted to like track it like a purchase suggestion. So but,
yeah, and I mean that could potentially just be called a bug, right? So like if you want to create a request but not send it, you should be able to do that without having anything hooked up, I would think.
right, that's yeah. I'm gonna write that down to myself. So
We keep track of like external ILL items, but we don't have any way for I don't know, like, so they come in from outside our system and then we temporarily catalog them. For the things that we send outside of our system, then we check it out to like a dummy account, and that lets us keep stats. So I don't know if the module itself could serve some of that purpose or not.
I think the module actually creates an item type. Last time I was playing with it, but that was like 2 years ago, so I might be wrong about that. And if it does that cuts down, you know, like half the work of our ILL librarian. So well, that was kind of interesting tangent. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
Well, I put a bug in the chat that sounds interesting. It's the ability to book items ahead of time. So our use for this would be like, we have a library of things collection. And people, like we have tables and chairs, we have a PA system, you know, depending on what or we have a carpet cleaner. You know, depending on your own desire to use these things, you might want them at a certain point in time. And so you might be like, well, I want to book, I'm having my parties coming up, I want to book that PA system for 2 weeks from now. And so I think this is kind of talking about doing that kind of thing. So we were interested to see where this one maybe goes. And it might not be the kind of thing that everybody would, you know, need at their library, but we thought it was interesting.
So how does this work how does it, like, I assume right now you're keeping track on paper or something like that if somebody wants it ahead of time, or do you not do that at all?
We really don't. We just do it like regular holds. So we don't really have, we didn't want to get into like a paper tracking mechanism, you know, as a whole side workflow.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, what happens if somebody has it booked, but the person that had it before them doesn't return it? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
because we have some stuff like that here, but we don't allow holds on it right now. And we're a system, so we loan things out to our library. So right now we're working on adding a button maker, and we've got like a bed bug zapper, that sort of thing. But we kind of have to keep track of that outside of Koha if a list generates of people that want those things, because I don't know, it's a logistical problem, I think.
Right.
Trying to sort that out. Usually our demand isn't high enough to worry about it, but if our demand does get high on something like that, then we have to think about, I don't know, do we have to police it, that sort of thing. But it would be interesting to have that built into Koha. Especially they talk about using like a calendar so people can see when it's not available. That's an interesting concept.
You actually circulate a bed bug zapper?
Yeah, it's a new thing that we're doing for reasons. But yeah, it's just like you know, those fold up hampers that kind of pop open. It's like that, and then it's got a heater that you tuck into it. It's somewhat portable, but we require libraries to come pick it up.
Huh, that's interesting. I'm Googling it because I was like, yeah, it's something that we might want to actually look into, sadly. All right, I actually think that I replicated the bug that I posted, and I'm going to try and show it to you guys, and hopefully everything doesn't die. So here's my test server. And if I put in a hold for this guy right here, and I put an item level hold, and I say I want to pick it up at Parkman, place the hold. That didn't work. There you go. So it should be Barkman, but says Rawlings.
Yeah, this has to do with that whole, like if you go back to place another hold, it has to do with that pickup location column in the right, on like lower right there.
Yeah.
So it's like that column defaults to the items library. I think we're using jQuery to just make that default to the logged in library. And I know there's jQuery floating around, maybe that lets it match. So like if you change the dropdown, then it causes the dropdown next to the item to change as well, so that it's picking the right one.
Right. Is that, do they consider that more of a feature rather than a bug, or?
I don't know. I still don't understand how it came to be.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in the consortia SIG a lot because it affects a lot of libraries. It seems like there are bugs. I don't know that I'm copied on them, but I can dig for them. But there are bugs that deal with it as well. So I don't think that it's totally intended, but I don't really know what the intention is.
All right. Any other topics that you guys wanted to talk about?
So I'll just mention that I have been working on the koha-US website a little bit, and each sort of topic in Koha has its own page on our website, and I've been working to kind of clean those up. This one is not exposed to the public yet because we need to redo the landing page a little bit, but the actual circulation page is live. So you can click on that and see kind of the direction we're currently taking, but may change. But we're trying to compile video playlists of different things. So any videos relating to circulation are going in this resources playlist. So if you guys have interesting circulation related videos you'd like to see us add to that list, I would be happy to do that, or you can talk with an officer or other people on the education committee and we can help get those things added and kind of build up our resources, that sort of thing. Also, I will just make another plug for the education committee. If you have an interesting circulation topic that you want to talk about on video in like a webinar format or a training format, that we would gladly help support that and put on a sort of koha-US sponsored webinar. I don't know any topics off the top of my head that circulation might be interesting. Usually we end up spiraling down towards SQL and jQuery and that sort of stuff with our trainings. But if we want to do some more like front level patron type training or circulation type training, best practices type videos for koha-US, we can do that.
Yeah, I really like the look of the site. That's cool. Having that kind of that information is very useful. I'd have to check with my circulation department and see, yeah, if they'd be interested in that. Honestly, I'd like to see how other people do it just to get a kind of a compare what we do to them. And yeah, thanks. Are there any other topics?
I had a quick question.
Sure.
I hope it's pertinent to circulation. Kyle just did some work for me on the back end, and now we have inventory numbers on some of our items. Does that have any significance that anyone could share with me, or is it just kind of a moot point?
So is it a different number than just the regular item number or the bib number?
Yeah, so it's showing up under the inventory number column, which we haven't had any of those before. Like, you know, we have our barcodes, call numbers, and that kind of thing. But this is like it's showing up like an RT. Here's one RT 88508, and it's just showing up on some of the items he was working on for me. He ended up like unreceiving and then receiving the items because I'm in acquisitions, and then these items all of a sudden showed up with an inventory number. So I'm working with our tech guy, and I'm just wondering if you guys know of any significance or if your libraries use inventory numbers, because we don't.
So oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
We don't either. A lot of times when Bywater is doing something and they put like an RT in front of it, it means that they're referencing a ticket. So is that the ticket number in the Bywater system? He maybe just put that there for his own reference.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So it wouldn't affect us like in Koha, like circulation. Yeah, you're right. It looks like it's the ticket number.
Yeah, I bet like whenever it says RT, it's referencing Bywater's ticketing system. So I bet he just put that in there so that he could cross-reference what he's doing. But yeah, I don't know a use for that inventory number field because I don't think it comes into play whenever you're using the inventory tool either. I think it's just kind of like an extra field out there that Koha is not currently using, or maybe we're just not using it the way that Koha was built to use it. I don't know. but
Okay.
I would suspect that those numbers you're seeing are actually just a ticket number reference.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. That's what it looks like. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I never really realized that field, and actually it might have been pretty useful when we did our inventory. And if you could add like an inventory note into that, when we did our inventory, we put it in the non-public note field, but you know, some items already had notes in that field, and it just kind of made it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, for us, we do it as a lost status. So I have a lost status called missing an inventory. So our process is to like scan everything, and then that updates to date last seen, and then we run a report, and anything that wasn't seen, we mark missing an inventory as a status. And then that way, if we need to, like when we're checking and we find them, then we can just check them in and it takes that status back off automatically. I don't know if you wanted that inventory sidebar, but there you go.
Anybody else have any topics? Well, if there's nothing else, then I was going to call this meeting adjourned. Going once, going twice. All right.